process of planning can be long and tedious for most people. The local authorities don't particularly make it easy for people to submit their own drawings, especially in the planning stage. The planning stage drawings tend to be very aspirational. They deal with what the house looks like, where the house will sit on the site, your access, your car parking, and various other things that planning are more interested in. We submitted to my architect a set of drawings for what I thought was the house that I wanted, sizes and overall shape and where it was to be situated on the land. He then took these and done a far better professional job of making them than I did and submitted them to planning. The time frame for planning was quite long. For some reason in the United Kingdom, planning officials seem to want the same old boring houses that we've built for a couple of hundred years. They have little imagination for something new, especially in an existing town. So it was a little bit of a challenge to get through that initial stage. There was a lot of toing and froing about the design, mainly because we have quite a lot of glass on the site. The house has 4 sides. 3 of them in this house were glass. But anyway, so we put it into the planning and we waited quite a long time. We had no complaints from the neighbours. They send out neighbour notifications here in Scotland to the neighbours who surround you. They get to look at the plans and comment on anything that they either like or dislike or maybe want changed. We had no complaints from the neighbours. I think everybody was quite happy to see the land turning from a field of weeds to into hopefully a nice house. So the main stumbling block was the planning officer who, I don't want to get on at planning officers, but we can't keep on building Victorian houses in Britain. It's just nonsensical. Their main point they were having a stumbling block was that the house was facing the road in terms of the gable of the house was facing the road, whereas all the rest of the houses on the street were the other way around. I said, look, we're going to put 15 kilowatts of solar on the roof so that we can generate our own power, and roof position is very important when you come to solar. Our site is east southwest, so we can get the full advantage of a full day of solar on the house, and that was one of the considerations of why we put the house where it was. The design of the roof, the angle of the roof, because electric prices, like everywhere, they're increasing. Cost of living is increasing. So why not, when you're developing your house, go for solutions which will keep your bills to a minimum? So eventually, after I think roughly about over a year, I think, we got the planning permission through, and then it was a case of, in Scotland here, that's just the first part. You would then have to do detailed drawings or all your services, all your building methods, all your construction, the parts of the construction of the house, your electrical points, all these kind of things have to be done in detailed drawings for a building owner. That took another maybe 3-4 months to go through the system, just takes time. Quite expensive. The whole planning and architectural side of building a house is quite an expensive thing. In the UK, we have a VAT. The VAT on a new build is recoverable. You can recover it either at the end of your build or on certain things during the build, if you can have a zero rated contractor or things like that. So I expected to spend about maybe £10,000 on the initial planning, drawings and building warrant. Wow, was I wrong? Probably closer to 15,000. Is a lot of money before you even start to build a house. The benefits of scale, sometimes come in. If you're building 20 houses, it's much the same. It's not £15,000 per house, it's £15,000 is the same amount. So when you're building one, it's something to keep an eye on. There's lots of things that come along that everybody wants your money. The planning permission is reasonably expensive. Your architect's drawings and time with him will be expensive. They say it's well worth it. I would agree most of the time. A good architect who can work with you, especially if you're a self-builder, is crucial. You need people who understand both your abilities and your goals, and to be able to get information from them, so that you can maybe change your mind and go down a different route. Anyway, the costs to get ready to start can be quite expensive. The ones we had were soil sampling. It's another thing we do in the UK. If the site has any history round about the site. My house, plot of land we were building, had a smiddy. I don't know if everybody will understand what a smiddy is, but it's back in the 1800s when we didn't have cars, we had horses, and horses needed shoes, so these guys were making horseshoes and working with metals and kilns and fires and things like that, and they're quite polluting. So it was marked on a map back in 1845 that there was a smiddy to the rear of our property, on the property adjacent to us. So environmentally we had to check the soil for contaminants, which again is very expensive. I think it was about £3,000 for soil sampling. Unfortunately for us, we got back a negative result on lead content in the soil. Lead content is quite common, especially next to roads and round about industrial processes. So we had to put in containment measures for that and manage the soil on site. That we have to bund the soil, cover it, bury it in certain places, cover it up in other areas. And it's quite tedious to manage when you just want to get on and build houses. So yeah, we got through all that, we got our building warrant completed, and I live in France and I'm building in Scotland. So I can't be there all the time. So the process was to come over to Scotland for a short period of time. I'd give myself 5 weeks. Doesn't sound a lot, and it certainly wasn't a lot, to basically get the house out of the ground. A lot of builds suffer from this stage. It can be very complicated. There can be unforeseen matters which just catch you out. You don't know, you've never dug a hole in the site before, you come across hard soil or rock or whatever. It all has to be dealt with. The videos I'm going to start showing you will be from when we basically arrived on site. The first stage was to clear the site, burn the material at the rear of the site, the soft soil and the contaminated soil, so that we can get that out of our way to start with. And then we can start laying out where the house is going to sit, making sure that everything is in the right place. We checked out drains. We found a mainline sewer which was non-adopted by the local authority or the local water company, which was good for us in terms we could do our water connections for our foul water connection anyway. Rainwater in Scotland is dealt with by a system called SUDS. It's a soak away system or a controlled release system into the sewage system. This is to avoid flooding in the future going forward, that you're not putting your rainwater off your new house down the same drain as the foul water goes. It has to all be treated at the sewage works. I understand it, I agree with it, but it can be very expensive, as I'll show you when we come to look at that section. So the first stage, find the drains, get the drains in, and then we can work on, it's a concrete pad it's going in for us, so it's the house is 17 metres by 9 metres, single storey bungalow. The pad that's going in for the complete house is 21 metres roughly by 9.5 metres. It's a 200mm pour of C30 concrete on two sections of varying heights of rebar to give it strength. Huge job, but that was our goal, to get that done in our 4.5 weeks and have a completed slab with drains ready, so for when the next time I come back from here to Scotland to get on with the build, then we're ready to go. So enjoy the video, like and subscribe, follow us along the journey.